Namaste ji, Om Shanti, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can do. Thank you.
Okay. And yes, so thank you. Namaste world, Om Shanti everyone, Sat Sri Akal. And I would like to thank the global, the Healing Our Earth team to give us this opportunity to share and be part of this beautiful project that you all have created. And it's really a pleasure. And I've been listening to all the beautiful speakers that have been online. And it's really, really wonderful that we are having this gathering. And when I was approached by Neil, I first felt which topic to speak on because there's so many things we can talk on. And because we are celebrating Gandhiji's birth and United Nations International Day of Peace, I decided on nonviolence. But having heard a lot of speakers this evening in Bangkok, so I realized that we all did touch on nonviolence, but from different perspectives. So my take on nonviolence will be focused a bit on anger and the negative in us that comes up in our lives. And a lot of speakers also addressed that. So I'll try to focus on my practice that is very simple and easy. But before I go into the solution, I just want to overall touch on the topic of anger and what Gandhiji says about anger. Anger is the enemy of nonviolence. So there we have it in a simple sentence. And the next part of the sentence is very important. And pride is the monster that swallows it up. So these two go hand in hand. When we say anger, their pride is why. When we talk about our vices and the vices of the soul or the mind, we hear about the 5 Ks in the Indian language, which is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. And that's anger, greed, attachment, ego, and Kam, Krodh, and lust. So actually, lust comes first. But we are focusing on the mind and anger. And anger and ego go hand in hand. Why? When we notice in our lives daily, what do? When do we get angry? If we just come up with the situation in our minds, everybody who's listening, we'll realize that anger comes out of attachments, mainly with people we love. Yes, it on a broader scale, in terms of the earth, we could get angry again at people who are doing things that we think or believe are right and they don't follow us. So again, we have our belief systems, we have our um, benchmark that we hold, and in accordance with that, we judge and we become angry. I want to narrow it down to family. Even and here about children, when we raise children as a mother, as a grandmother, we're always having children around us. And I know I was noticing that this generation is our generation was a bit different. We were very obedient and we listened to our parents very easily, and maybe because we were many siblings in a family, many children in a family. But the children nowadays, parents are becoming more wise in the sense that they don't hit the children or they don't scold the children too much. But something that we use is, if you don't do this, mama and papa will get angry or mama and papa will get upset. And we think that's fine. Because we think that only violence is only hitting. But anger is, like Gandhiji says, the enemy of non-violence. So when we are actually telling our children that if you don't do what we say, we are going to get angry, we're actually, what they hear is mom and dad are angry. So it would be better actually if we say, if you do this, we will reward you. You know, I know it sounds like bribing, but it works and it's positive. And little children, it's better you give them a treat or token than to, um, tell them that I'll get upset or I'll get angry. Because what happens is when you don't do what they want, then they also get upset and angry. And that's definitely what we don't want. So this brings me to a story of our revered saint Faridji. So it's not something that hasn't been taught to us. Faridji was a saint, but when he was a child, his mother would try to connect him to God. And every time, and he didn't, and he was not interested like all children. He wants to play and have fun. But what his mother did was she told him that every time he thought of God or prayed to God, there would be a sweet under his pillow. And every time he prayed, she put a sweet under his pillow, and he thought, oh wow, I'm getting a sweet because I've done something good and that God is pleased. And it worked. So treating, and I won't call it a bribe, but it's definitely better than saying I'm angry. And there are a lot of these beautiful examples that we can pick up. Not to say that I personally never get angry. I'm on the path of at least trying to um, uh, reach the goal of not getting angry. I mean, irritation is a branch of anger. So maybe not angry, but irritation and sad and hurt. These are all branches of anger. And which brings me to this quote of Gandhi that I was reading. We may never be strong enough to be entirely non-violent in thought, word, and deed, but we must keep non-violence as our goal and make strong progress towards it. So while we may not be able to do much about not getting irritated or angry, but of course I'm going to share with you the tools that work in my life. What I can say first is that though I get irritated and angry sometimes, which has become very, very rare, I am able to overcome it very soon. So the time that we take to overcome our mistakes is important, because what happens is normally we hold grudges and we feel um, sad or weak or tortured or anything negative for days and sometimes for weeks. And though we do our meditation and we do our prayers, and what happens is when we do our meditation and our prayers, everything is beautiful. Or when we go to the temple or the churches or the gurdwaras, during that time we are fine. But what about when we step out of that space, when we come out into the world, when we are not in that space of um, where the energy is good? Because what we need is the practice that carries on in our lives in every moment when we're going to live with people that are going to be troubling us, because situations will always be there and we are not in control of the situations, but what we can control is ourselves and our mind. And that comes to the topic that I want to address deeply, is our mind. So um, we it's a let me compare the let me just give you a little analogy about this. When we go to the doctor, while we're at the doctor, and we can tell the doctor what our illness is and everything, but yet when we step out of the doctor's office, or when we come, or the clinic or the hospital, and we come back home, we have to carry on doing what the doctor says. So same when we do our prayers, the point is to carry on. And though we've got a lot of suggestions from a lot of speakers on awareness and on nonviolence as well, and things that we can bring on in our daily routine, which is all very beautiful. And I'm sure each one of us has tried hundreds of things in our lives. And one of the things I'm sure we've tried is also non-reaction, that don't react, and responsibility is responsibility. So these are words and things that I feel we all have done. But I want to ask you one thing now. When I'm going to talk about the mind, I'm going to focus on the mind. I want to ask you, who do you get angry at, which we talked about earlier? And who do we not get angry at? Do we get angry at our bosses? Never. Why? We don't get angry at our bosses maybe because we earn money from them or we serve them. So that means in our mind there's a hierarchy already created. So in order to realize that, well, if the bosses give us money and we don't get angry at them, then the people around us can give us happiness and love if we don't get angry at them. But somehow it doesn't really work. But it is a thought to hold. But how do we see? It would be nice if we could see everyone as our boss. That would be a good point. So, here in my life's journey, that I have been through a lot and done a lot of spiritual lessons over the years and been on a spiritual journey. And I even reached a point in my life that I realized the mundaneness of life, that you just get up and eat and earn and take care of your children. And is it all that we're here for? And there was a hollow in the heart, the soul seeking something that even at that time I didn't understand that it was the soul. Is it okay? Am I being heard? Okay. So while we crave, I came into this path that I've put a bindi here on my mind, on my forehead, because we as a soul reside in the center of the forehead, and this bindi that we in the Indian culture put is actually reminding me that I'm a soul. And the practice that I do and that has brought me great um, power. We need power inside in order to be able to be happy, in order to in order not to get angry. These are the power of the soul, which has deteriorated over time from birth till now and over lifetimes as well. As we can see, the era that we are passing through, this age, is like the dark ages. And yet, everybody's awakening to spirituality, which maybe 40, 50 years ago, there was not so much hype about spirituality. Everybody was too busy just working and earning and living day to day. So the dark ages also has an advantage of the awakening within. So when I say I'm a soul or the mind is part of the soul. Why do I say that? Very simple. When we look at the end of our life, we can see our life from the birth and the death. So when we look at the end of our life and we just take a look at our dead body, which means that nothing is working. It looks exactly like I'm alive. Supposing I have a heart fail right now, and I look at my body, what do I see? I see exactly the same alive being as the dead and alive looks the same. But yet there's a difference. The alive one is moving and it has everything, and the heart is beating, the blood is circulating, whereas the dead body looks exactly the same. 1 minute ago I'm alive, and the next minute I'm dead with a heart failed, and I noticed that um, everything is missing. The entire life force, life energy is missing. And my eyes are there, but it cannot see. My ears are there, it cannot hear. My mouth is there, it cannot taste, it cannot eat. And so nothing is working. And yet, when I'm alive, everything is working. Another thing that's missing, because all this that I just mentioned is the automatic part of the soul. But there's one part that is different in each human being, and that is the mind. In the dead body that is lying still, the mind is missing. Me, I have an identity, I have a mind, and my mind thinks, has memories, has my character, has my sanskars, has my impressions, has my whole memory, has everything that is Amarjit. But the dead body is no more Amarjit because that identity is gone. That mind, that ability to think, that memory, that is all gone. And so this dead body is burnt or buried. So I, the mind, am in the body when it's alive. and not in the body when it's dead. And that's why the dead body is no more. So the soul is not only a life energy factor, which brings a body alive and gives it movement, but it's also the mind. So once I understand that the mind is part of the soul, that means it's eternal, because by now we can see that if the law of the universe is fair and square and everything is equal in this world, then why are people born beggars, and why is someone born a king, and why is someone born rich, and why is someone born poor, or why when someone is born they don't have they are um, paralyzed, or they're blind, and someone is born beautiful. So these are all based on some past karmic accounts, because the law of the universe is fair. So we as a soul, we've traveled through many lifetimes, and I think right now in the world, a lot of us have realized, because every day we wake up, we are not thinking of death. We don't think we're going to die. We live as if we're going to live forever, which is beautiful. But it, if you reflect on that thought process within us, we can also realize that it's wise. Why is that? It's because we actually don't die. Me, the soul, the mind. Yes, we forget. And it's good to forget, because imagine this. I mean, even this lifetime, I can't remember what I did when I was 16, 17, or what I ate 5 days ago, or what I wore 10 days ago. A lot of things we don't remember, even in this lifetime. So, over lifetimes, it's good to forget. Imagine we remembered how we died the last lifetime, and we'd carry all that burden, because negative things tend to remain in the mind a lot. So, it's good that we don't remember a lot of things. So, this is the amnesia of the soul. When we don't remember the past, and it is, we also forgotten that I am the soul. But when I understand that I'm the soul and I'm a life force and energy, and I just use this body, I'm coming to the part that we can practice in order to overcome anger and overcome a lot of vices and overcome negativities in life very easily. When I see myself as a separate entity from this body, and I see myself as a twinkling little star in the center of my forehead, in behind, and I start seeing others also as entities within their body, twinkling little stars. Imagine everybody's a twinkling little star, and the body's a costume, and we are playing roles. I'm playing the role of Amarjit Kaur, and everybody else is playing their role. My husband, my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, everyone is playing a role. Then we are just actors in this play, and we are just following, what actors do, they act well. So then we start realizing, and we can separate ourselves from emotions, because emotions is what drags us into depression, into anger, into and emotions come from attachment, and the first attachment is attachment to this body. Because the moment I am Amarjit, immediately I have brothers, sisters, I'm from this religion, I'm from this background, I'm this and that. I have a lot of labels. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a woman. If I'm a soul, all these labels drop. Then I'm universal. Then the other person that I look at is also a soul, is universal. So we are brothers and sisters, whether no matter what our complexion, no matter what our gender, no matter what our religion, no matter what our beliefs, no matter what our emotions, we are siblings. We're all here together on this beautiful planet Earth, and we are playing our role. And each of us, no matter what we believe, actually, each of us has the core quality of love inside. Sometimes we just don't have enough of it, because we've lost our powers. Now, the powers of the soul is important: love, happiness, joy, peace, purity. This is what we want. It's the opposite of anger, greed, attachment, ego. So, when we want these beautiful qualities, it's good to realize that everybody else around us also wants that. So, these qualities are not to be asked for, but to be given. When we start giving Which brings me a very beautiful quote of Gandhiji that I also came upon, which is to do with the qualities of the soul and how each one has to find his peace from within. And peace to be real must be unaffected by outside circumstances. So the soul has its qualities of peace and all, but what we've done is we've allowed the outside circumstances to affect us, to affect our equilibrium. So our peace and our um, love and our joy wavers, and we start reacting and we start giving back what we get. You know, another thing that I've told my daughter this from when she was born, and it's something that I live by. Don't become the person you don't like. And nobody likes anger. So don't be angry. And so whatever the other person does that you don't like, you don't do that because you don't want to be like that. Because you have to live with yourself and you have to love yourself. So you can't love the person that you don't like, right? So why should we become the person we don't like? So again, what do we like? We like peace, we like purity, we like the true qualities of the soul, and joy, happiness, knowledge. Knowledge helps us to discern what is right, what is wrong. It gives us the powers to tolerate with love. The way a mother tolerates the tantrums of the children, and no matter what naughty things your children do, you still love them. That's tolerance with love. So when we start seeing each and everybody as a soul, it's about using the third eye. These eyes, external eyes, they're stories of saints that have been lured by these eyes, and so they actually blinded themselves, surdas, so that they don't use these eyes to see, and so they don't get distracted by these eyes. Because these eyes, these ears, this mouth, this nose, these are the five senses, external senses that take us away from who we are within. So when we actually start seeing inside, then we see outside, but outside we see is a play, is a role play, is a drama, is the whole world is one, and we're just playing and acting. But we are beyond that. Then we see the soul with the third eye, and we see ourselves first, the practice of seeing yourself as a soul and everybody as a soul. Once we see everybody as a twinkling point of light, let me give you this little dot is a good one, but something like that, a little dot. The thing is, when I say star, we tend to see a black background, but this time, no. Let's see a twinkling light with a golden red background. So that gives you a energy, that the soul is energy. So it's like the sun. So the sun, but a tiny one that even if you cut the human body, you can't find it because it's atma, it's tinier than an atom. So now when we practice seeing ourselves as souls and we see everybody around us as souls, then there's nothing to get angry about because that person is just playing a role to be angry. When we see actors and the actors we like playing a negative role or a positive role, it doesn't mean the actor is bad. It's just he's just playing a role. So same way we are just playing a role. Sometimes we play it wrong, sometimes we play it right. But it's okay, and all is well. And what hurt me in the past is not hurting me now, and what is hurting me today will not hurt me in the future. So it's just these emotions that we go through because we are stuck with this external identity. So the practice of being a soul, the practice of being in that silence that I'm a soul, and a peaceful one, Om Shanti, we say, which means Om is soul and Shanti is peaceful. So I love it. And the next one that I like is Ekonkar, means you and I, we are one. So if we all are souls, then where do we come from? Not this realm of matter, because this realm of matter is where the five elements of the body is, and where we all are playing a role. So home is where we go to recharge. So when we connect with the supreme soul, the soul, or the realm from where we come, the realm of silence, the realm of peace, where there's no acting, where there's no five elements, beyond the five elements, then we use our mind, because our mind has a thought and has a vision, and has feelings. So when we use these three, thought, vision, and mind, and we see ourselves as a soul and we connect with the divine light, me light and the divine light, we combine as one. Jyoti Jyotirali. In my scriptures, it says that very beautifully. Then the energy from the divine or the universe comes into me, because energy flows from the higher source to the lower source. So when I receive that energy with love, I fill up within. Then I can give. I can be a giver, because I have to charge my battery. When the phone battery is low, we have to charge it with the external source. So the energy flows in from the external source to me. So likewise, when I use thought power and vision and feeling, and I connect with the eternal source or the supreme source and the divine, then I receive love and light and all the qualities and the powers and the virtues that I want. This is shopping free for virtues and powers. And then I can become the giver, because every time I want, I go back home and I take it and I give in this world. I don't ask from people for love anymore, but I become the giver. So this is a practice that I do every day, and it's changed my life. And I've been doing this for the past 11 years. Before that, I was a seeker and searcher, and this has transformed my life. And that's all I do. And you can do it every second, because it's not using your mouth or using your eyes, it's just using your mind to connect. And first thing in the morning, last thing at night, every hour for 1 second, every time you're going to drink a glass of water, you can just set a routine to do it anytime. So this is how I overcome my anger when I get angry in any moment or irritated. Because of my practice, suddenly I see the other person as a soul. I see myself as a little star, and I detach and I connect and give my negativity to the divine and take on the beauty from the creator. And immediately I detach, immediately I'm fine. And I smile, and smile with me. So this is what I wanted to share today. Thank you so much. And thank you over to the host. I think I'm up on my time. Sorry for that.
No problem at all. Actually, we have a few seconds left. Do you mind if I ask you a quick couple of questions, please, Amarjit?
Sure.
Yes. So question number one, you spoke about pride and anger being the two things that go against non-violence, against ahimsa. So what about pride? Just if you was to say a couple of lines about it, what would you say people need to watch out for in terms of pride?
Pride, number one, pride is ego. And the first ego is the false identity that I am this body. When pride is ego, just remember that. When you have pride, it's not the positive pride that we have in being who we are. We're all beautiful human beings. But when we see pride as an ego, that we think I know it all and the other doesn't know, or I have an identity and this is me and these are my labels, then I fall. So that is responsible for attachment, for greed, for anger, for lust, for everything. But the moment I let go of my identity, that I'm just playing the role of Amarjit, I'm not Amarjit. This life, last life I was something else, next life I'll be something else. Then that pride or that ego drops. And then I'm just this beautiful spirit to share and to love and heal our earth and heal ourselves.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Namaste. And thank you very much for coming.